So, Lori Rader, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you, Dan.
Lori, so just tell us a little bit about yourself, if that's okay,
Sure.
before we get
Yeah,
going.
sure. I'm the director of sales for FirstEnergy Advisors. We are an electric brokerage company and we are a subsidiary of FirstEnergy Corp. We are an affiliate of a bunch of utilities, so we are not connected to them. They are on the regulated side, we're on the deregulated side, but we're here to help customers find the best price terms and conditions for their electric contracts. And we also do work in energy efficiency, trying to match customers with information that they need and try and help them with any kind of services they need with respect to electricity. So that's what I do. And I'm happy to be here today.
Great. Obviously, I've had the pleasure of working with you for a few years now, Lori, and I'm interested to understand a little bit more. I guess you started First Energy Advisors, right? Just give a little bit of backgrounds behind that.
Sure. I did want to just briefly discuss the reason why I was selected, I think, to work on this project for the company. I started in at the utility. Actually, when I was younger, I worked for the Cleveland Electric Illuminating Company. I worked in the rate department. I worked in finance. I worked in budgeting and load forecasting. I
Right.
worked in sales, or what really was marketing back at the time, and then even real estate. So had a really broad background of what was going on in the utility, and then the mergers and acquisitions. So, Centurior was formed with Cleveland Electric and Toledo, and then Ohio Edison acquired Interior, and that became First Energy. And about that time, so adding kind of to my background, I went to private industry and I worked for a manufacturing company. I did procurement there and financing. And then about 2009, I was given the opportunity to come back to the supply side and see at First Energy Solutions. So the retail arm was already created. Retail was hot, and I was in charge mostly through my career there at First Energy Solutions, the government aggregation or municipal, so large kind of industrial load. And then I also worked on mass market campaigns. So I had this kind of broad background of being at the utility and then seeing the supply side. And when we were suppliers, we also, we worked with many, many brokers. Some were good, some were not so good. And we saw competitive generators. What we couldn't do as a generating company, we couldn't compete sometimes. Others were better, other suppliers were better. So Solutions did have problems, which I think many people know. And eventually they declared bankruptcy. And a lot of it was tied to, obviously debt, it's always debt, but nuclear debt in particular, some contract problems. And so Energy Harbor then took over basically Solutions debt and they became a generating company.
Okay.
And at that time, right before they took over, management asked me to come and set up this brokerage firm. And the reason they did it, Dan,
Yep.
is because I had the expertise. I've been kind of a broad background. And the people that eventually came with me, also a couple of the people from First Energy Solutions also came over and we started this brokerage. First Energy was already in the retail space. So not just with Solutions as a generation piece, but they were also marketing products for home and services for home. And they had this residential customer base that they were trying to grow outside the utility revenues. And this was a perfect fit to start this kind of like brokerage firm to help bring in commercial industrial customers
Yep.
and also to help with residential customers, sell services to them. And electric contracts is a kind of a perfect fit if you think about how people look at an energy company. So
Yeah.
that was the kind of the basis with my background and the fact that they needed a fit for this products and services group. And it worked as one. And that's what we've been doing since. So.
Okay. I mean, that's a seriously interesting background. I mean, I didn't understand or didn't know the history of First Energy of the last year, so that was educational. So thanks for that. Appreciate it. But and your background as well, actually. I didn't. You kind of went out and came back in, right? So that was
Yeah.
yeah. Because then
It
we've
it
had a
it
lot
does
of
yeah, it does inform me because I know how, at least I think I know how some industrial customers think when they're looking at their energy bills and how they look at energy and supply. So I think it was a really good experience for
with
me to do
that
that.
balance, right? Sometimes,
Yeah. Mhm.
you know,
Yeah.
and even thinking myself on coming into energy as I did and using my previous in the industry experience. I mean, I worked in healthcare for a while, for a long
Right.
time actually, and that was all around customer experience. So my whole kind of ethos for marketing has always been think about that customer. I think your mindset is exactly the same. So and speaking to Dave as well, actually, he's actually exactly the same too. So we're always thinking about the customer, who are the most important people in all of this. So yeah, just looking at First Energy. So setting up that brokerage, what were the key factors around setting that up, Laurie?
Well, we, we had to first, try to avoid risk. I think that's one thing that, First Energy, not a big fan of it because, they had kind of been in these retail market. So, broker is a little bit more of a safe space.
Mhm.
And I think really important, one of the company pillars with the brokerage is the pillar of customer service. And they want to get back to that. They've always had it as a pillar, but I think now the enhancement to that idea, and you know, I'm passionate about what I do. And I tell everybody that, I look at myself as a customer and I want to be treated the way, I treat people. So when you have that mix, the brokerage is there. And we also had expertise. So, these are the foundational blocks of what you want to do when you start a brokerage service. And as you know, and I talked to you and I've talked to Dave before. I mean, I'd follow the markets all the time. My team does too. We look at articles and we understand what utility filings look like. And I have a background in some utility rate making. So all of those things together, we try to focus on that customer and we try to find them and earn their trust really is the most important part of being a broker
That's
because
absolutely correct.
y- you know, I approach it like I approach, someone coming to me for services. What would I look for? And I look for somebody who I could trust, but I think you build that trust, in the information that they provide you. And when you feel, peculiar about the information they provide you, or they're not clear, or they're pushy, or you're going to take a step back. But for me, the most important thing is that I want to know what's going on, and I want to inform the customer,
Yep.
and we're transparent. And I think that, again, full disclosure, we are partners with Zentility. We use their technology platform. It's our Sherpa by First Energy Advisors tool. And we want to make things transparent for customers and we want to give them the most information. So everybody in my team is dedicated to that and trying to find the best, price for customers at the time they go to market. So
No, I completely agree. I mean, we absolutely. I mean, we've set up Zentility in 2016, and that was
okay.
when I spoke to Ryan. That was his first. It's because he came out of Constellation, as you know, and then
Right.
he was like, I'd really want to bring a bit more transparency. I want the customer to be in control. I want them to be the focal point of brokering. So that's the reason why Zentility, was founded at that point, and we evolved into partnering with the likes of yourself and Dave and other partners that we have to just be able to offer this technology that we've developed. But it's all down to having that transparency of data, just making sure that they understand what pricing is available, what the costs, what the comparisons are, what's going on in the market today. So all the things that we try to tie into that digital report just to help them make that decision. And it's not just here's the price, what do you think? It's more
Right.
that you got a full disclosure. So yeah, transparency is I think critical, if I'm honest,
Right.
uh, Laurie.
So when we first started our little, this brokerage, we didn't have a lot of money to spend on a CRM system or a lot of big systems. And I think that's true with anybody who starts a business. Even though we were part of a big corporation, we were a small group. And I was looking at hiring, an analyst or two or three to handle back office issues, which is contracting and keeping track of all the things that we need to keep track of and commission everything for corporate
Yeah.
reporting. And one of my employees booked a contract with one of your customers, Dan. I don't know if you remember
Oh,
this.
really?
This
Okay.
is how we got Ryan, right? And Ryan is the CEO of Zentility. So the customer is what you would call double booked, but that was okay because it brought forth the relationship and, meeting Ryan actually. And he did a demo for my employee and I. And I think during the demo, I said, wow, about 4 times because I could see in the technology, one, and answer two, I don't have to hire people to handle all the, contract work in the back office. So, and that I could see things being taken care of for me as a broker. So that was, wonderful. But
Yeah.
the most important thing I saw from that website was this ability to share this with my customer. And also to give it to my customer if they wanted to. And anybody who wants to know, what my commission fees are, I tell them what they are on projects, but it's more than that. It's the idea that the customer can go in and I can do it for them, or any of my staff can do it. Take a bill, get their account number, put it in the platform, and
Yep.
take it to the market and get custom pricing if they're large enough, or if they're medium sized commercial industrial, they can get instant pricing pretty through their main pricing tool, which is wonderful. But when you're putting in their parameters, it's all in one space. And then digitally, a contract comes back, they can sign it if they want. But what's most important is they see all of the prices come back to them. And again, Ryan uses that word, it curates the best price terms and conditions, and it does. And customers get reports and they see it. And the beauty is there's no obligation. They don't have to do anything if they don't want to, but it stops them. And I've said this many times to different customers, but getting in this platform and getting pricing will stop you from making a hasty buying decision. So you're ready. When you're ready, we'll be ready for you. And once everything's in one place, you know, you can go out to the market anytime and ask suppliers to quote. And you guys have a tremendous amount of supplier relationships. So the customer is going to benefit from the platform's ability to pull data and information from a vast amount of suppliers. And then once they're contracted, again, this is another reason why we love the platform, is that everything's in one place. And especially for customers who don't even know where all their bills are. So we do that for them. We get it in one place and the contract's in one place. And that next renewal, there's reminders that come to the customer, 12 months, 6 months before their contracts end. And then we're looking at pricing. And even in between a customer and the broker meeting, we can go into the platform and request this rate check. And the rate check come back. And again, they're clean, they're neat, easy to understand. And a customer has the ability to see what is going on. And especially to establish a baseline of where prices are if they don't want to entertain a contract in the market. So,
Full disclosure, like this really wasn't rehearsed, and actually,
no.
Laura, you sell the platform better than I do. I just wanted to mention it because no, I agree with you because
Yeah.
basically we have a lot of partners that use us, and this wasn't intended to sell our platform. That webinar is a discussion between us, but
Right.
the
Right.
important thing, controlling those contracts, making sure that they're all placed. I'm looking right now. I mean, we're going to talk about the market in a second, but we're in a pretty bad spot right now, and we're looking at renewals for people in 23, 24. Ultimately, if you don't have that control of contract, if you don't have that view, that holistic portfolio view, then it's difficult to be able to look ahead that quickly. Does that make sense? And make those kind of
Yeah.
let's see what we can do for our
Yeah.
customer kind of.
Good.
And I think that's a mass benefit of having a platform with
Right. And,
customer
and,
care
and I,
technical advisors too.
yeah. And
Yeah.
Dan, you're right. I mean, you don't have to have the platform to do this work, but it just makes it easier for me to do it. And it makes it really transparent for the customers. That's why I believe in it. But again, you don't have to have it, but it is, for me, it's a benefit. But I do have concerns, and that's, kind of one of the topics of the conversation we have today is, what are the concerns we have? And, NYMEX today is over $9. So we want to know what the future looks like. And none of us do. Nobody has that full crystal ball.
No,
And, I think that the gas situation is precarious. We don't know as customers. My son had gone on a mission trip a couple of years ago when gas prices were really low. He went to Lafayette, Louisiana, and
yep.
he met, a bunch of the local people there. They were painting houses, and one of the locals said to him, you think $2 a gallon gas is a good thing, but it's devastating to the people of Lafayette because,
Mhm.
we depend on, the price of gas being higher. And when it's not, it devastates us. So it's about, the trade-offs as,
This point.
citizens of this country, I guess. In Lafayette might be doing better now. I know the prices are high, and I think the gas market is going through this discipline period where their future investments are really what are most tenuous for them and how they're going to get financing. There's this push towards electrification, so especially in cars. and solar, renewable energy, and all of this, there's also the idea that we don't want to use fossil fuels anymore. So all this puts concerns, at least for me, is in terms of pricing electricity in the future. And the reason gas and electric go together is because all those years of low price, and you'll see this graph here, is when you have all the gas producers producing electricity. And as we move towards the future, right now, the 23, the red on top, it's severely separated from what you see future prices are 23, 24, 25, and 26. And I think you see the gap here. And I don't know what I look at this and it reminds me of what it looked like last year almost. It's the separation as we get through the current year, but the prices are all bunched in the later years. And I have concerns that customers might not be looking at contracts in later years because they're so focused on what's happening now.
Right.
And I think now might be a really good time to, if you have a contract, or let's say you have the benefit of being with the utility for a little while longer, you might want to think about that. And today or in the near future, look at pricing a contract out into the future. Because if you look at this graph in front of you, you'll see that, the prices in 24, 25, and 26 are, considerably lower than what you're seeing for the 23. So like I said, it's all these things are kind of piling together and you don't know what the future is going to bring. You don't know if gas companies are going to be able to invest in exploration and get the financing they need. And, if the hot weather, again, it's really hot this summer, the near-term pricing is going to be really, really difficult for customers. And I think as we move into the next few years, Dan, I know that's something we want to talk about too. Just think about what that means if people can't pay their bills, and what it means to suppliers, and what it means to brokers, or what it means to suppliers who aren't properly hedged with their generation and might not have enough generation as we move towards all this electrification. So the risks are there. And I don't know the best ways, that individual customers need to mitigate all their risks, but I do see this as one avenue that, customers can go and they can ask for pricing today for future. And maybe they should think about establishing a base.
Interesting. No, it's interesting too. I mean, it is a bit of it's a crazy. I mean, I was just talking to Ryan literally an hour before this call, and we were talking ourselves around the price at the moment and the impact it's having, obviously, in terms of customer decisions. I was talking to a few of our account managers this morning as well around, there's always as a business, you're always in a position whereby it's like, okay, there's always a bottom line, right? We're a business.
Yep.
But ultimately, you've got to look after that customer too, right? And it's a position whereby you're trying to be as creative as possible with the products that you can offer people, correct? And I think the suppliers do a great job in terms of offering those different packages to brokers, right?
They do. They're like, and I do want people to understand, like, I don't know if there's any customers on the call, but what this, this particular graph is from Constellation, but a lot of the suppliers put these graphs out for their brokers. And really, if you look at the very last point on this graph, and I don't know what date it is, so the rest of it's all historical. There's trades every minute, right? Or every 5 minutes. But this is actually in the PJM era territory. But you look at the very last point on this graph, and that's where the trades closed at that day. And if you were looking for a contract that started in, let's say, January of 2023 and went through January of 2026, that those very endpoint prices are the prices each year that would essentially be blended together to give you a final price of a contract along with, ancillaries and risk and margin and commission. So, but this makes up, 85% of the cost of what the cent per kilowatt hour is going to be at that one point in time. And you can see if you can get rid of that high red line and concentrate on maybe a future look. That's why I'm saying you could find a future contract at a lower price. I still don't know if I was clear about that, but that's really what that means.
Okay. No, that's fair. I know FirstEnergyAdvisors.com, I think, went live today, right, Lori?
It did. They went live this morning. Yeah, very exciting. Very exciting.
So
Yeah.
super exciting there. So FirstEnergyAdvisors.com, Go check out Lori and her team, some of the services they do, provide a great
Yep.
service to the customers, as we said. We do have a question actually to you from
Okay.
John Lenz, one of our partners, and he's asked, is First Energy encouraging their commercial industrial customers to switch in order to reduce their generation costs?
Of course, we always encourage, our large industrial customers to shop for generation because that's what we do. We try to find them the best possible prices.
Yeah,
Whenever we're in a market, and I know Dave feels the same way I do, we're in a market where the utility is in the run. If you're not under contract, you're going to have to at least think about comparing the utility prices to a future supplier price. And I think, yeah, I would encourage all, large industrial commercial customers to at least look at baseline pricing. The tool is there, like I said, and I would encourage customers to at least price. And then if they can find something competitive and they can work around the pricing, and obviously that pricing goes into the products and services they provide. So
yeah,
they at least will give themselves some surety if they want to do a fixed price. I think some of the problems with the utilities in Pennsylvania is that rely on, especially as you get to be a bigger customer, industrial customer, you're at the mercy of the daily price. So the daily settlement, or the hourly settlement,
okay,
depending on which utility you're in. This is very risky for people. They're going to have bills that they most likely will not be able to pay. And I think they'll be going back to the utilities and trying to work out budget payments. So if that's the case and you're seeing that type of volatility that you can't stand, yeah, you should be pricing yesterday or maybe a fixed price that'll help you smooth that out in the near term. And then, look at a longer term price to take advantage of the fact that the market, and it looks like it, and I've heard this, the 24, 25, 26 is really is inflation adjusted. The pricing is very similar to what, the 10-year average price has been. So
that
it's
was
not a
interesting.
huge risk.
Yeah, you told me. Yeah, that was
Yeah.
really interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
So I hope that answers the question. I think,
I hope so too. Yeah,
and there,
um,
well, if you look at LCI suppliers, I think he's asking that also, what percentage in most of the states, they all shop. I mean, or
yeah,
like 80 some percent of them are shopping.
yeah,
So, and this has been going on for the past 20 years almost, so
yeah.
large
Uh,
percentage.
Laurie, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Been a pleasure. It really, really has. Thank you for joining today, and
Thank you.
giving us that kind of lowdown of where the First Energy Advisors and where you've come, and hopefully where you're going, and hopefully we'll see some more stability in our market.
Yes.
That's going to help us through to the end of 22 and into 23, hopefully.
Yep.
But
Thank
thank you so
you.
much again.
Thank
Um,
you so much for having me. Thank you.
right.
Dan.